Hi, I'm Keenan Austin Reed, Chief of Staff to Congressman Donald McEachin, and you're watching WOO TV.
Let's talk about Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams,
Sure.
their campaign runs for governor. What were your thoughts about how well they did, and do you see them having even a brighter political future?
Yes, absolutely. I thought that both Andrew and Stacey debunked a big myth or a question that might be out there. I think there were some people that thought maybe Obama's the only one, that can win statewide, or are black candidates viable for statewide races? And we saw candidates that were strong and inspiring and could build a movement, and people responded to their message. We ultimately were not successful here in Georgia, but Stacey definitely got some races over the finish line that wouldn't have otherwise happened.
Sure.
I don't think if if she had not been on the ballot and not have won such a strong race. She made early investments and built a really strong operation even in the primary. Typically you're
getting new voters.
Yeah, getting new
rolls.
voters. And typically you have a smaller operation, meaning like campaign staff and resources in the primary. And then in the general, you ramp up and you expand and you go everywhere. She ran a really strong race from the start. And I think that created Congresswoman Lucy McBath, right? Who turned
that defeated Handel.
Yes, defeated Karen Handel, Gwinnett County Blue. Who would have ever thought?
Right.
And I think we can attribute that to Stacey Abrams. And then you've got Andrew Gillum in Florida, who I know Andrew personally, and he was my student body president and vice president when I was in college. And you can't outwork Andrew. Right? We saw that going from city to city. And he tapped into something really special, and he created, I think, Congresswoman Donna Shalala and Debbie Musgrove-Powell. There were several races that were difficult races, tough races, seats never represented by Democrats, but he inspired voters who may not have been engaged during a midterm election and got them over the finish line. And we have to be super grateful to them for that. And I think regardless, they're going to both have bright futures. They're dynamic. If we don't use them, it's our loss.
Right. Well, when we talk about Florida, we talk about, a lot of the, because, especially after the 2018 midterms, you can definitely see now where all the red and blue are located. It's become more polarized now. And do you feel that post-Obama that there's still a racist element, or that with respect to Andrew Gillum or Stacey Abrams, that their politics did not portend for some voters?
Sure. I think we saw it very blatantly with Governor DeSantis, or soon to be Governor DeSantis, who his initial, as soon as he was the Republican nominee, talked to his base or talked to Republican voters and said, "Don't y'all monkey this up."
Dog whistles.
Dog whistles. Everybody knows what he was trying to say and who he was trying to speak to, and if that doesn't say there's a race element involved here, I don't know what does. And there was just this type of language that was used in both races. And so I think it still speaks to some voters, and I think it was used, absolutely. There was an element in that race, both races.
Right. If you were their campaign manager, what would be your strategy towards these conservative-leaning states if, say, a person of color and Democrat has a chance in these state or federal elections?
I think I wouldn't. My strategy really wouldn't differ much from how the campaigns of Abrams and Gillum really attacked it. They were honest about their positions on the issues, and they were very clear about communicating them. I think sometimes when a state has the ability to be on the cusp or being red and blue, a purple state, a swing state, a battleground state, whatever you want to call it, we tend to think that we need to be moderate, that we need to be on the fence about issues, or, you know, I like this, but I kind of don't like that because we're nervous. We as elected officials or people who work for elected officials and do races, we think, don't want to push the voter, turn the voter off by our positions and our issues. But Andrew and Stacey were very clear about how they felt about healthcare and the environment and education, and they didn't waver. And so I think that moving forward as candidates approach conservative states, I think voters more identify with authenticity. And so be who you are and be very clear about it and fearless about it. And I think that you would be successful. There were some external factors, I think, at play in both races. I think there was some voter suppression both races that ended up with them not being successful. But
you wouldn't do anything different.
I wouldn't. I would say, just being slightly more familiar with Gillum's race, I wish that Gillum had more financial support from the outset. But I think that sometimes you look at candidates of color, and he's a young guy, and I think people thought he's running for number 2, or there's no pathway forward, and they doubted his race.
And he was number 3 in the Democratic primary.
Yes.
Yeah, and he made it to, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the floodgates of money. He did. I mean, when you think about what he did on candidates who are worth 3, 4, 5 times his net worth, and what his campaign individually, how it was resourced in the beginning, and just the attacks on him personally, all sorts of investigations and that sort of thing were thrown at him. Really began with a very difficult start. So I would have loved if people would have rallied around him a lot sooner, and maybe that could have given him even stronger support.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the campaigns are a hot mess behind the scenes, no matter who's the campaign manager. That is the nature of campaigns. But the campaign itself, the candidates were great.
Thanks for watching this video. We hope you have found this to be engaging and thought-provoking. Please hit like and subscribe for updates. You'll find more videos like this on the thumbnail links on your screen. We'd love to hear from you. If you could say one encouraging thing to a bullied victim, what would it be? Please send us a short video message.